Welcome everyone to Consciousness Engineering. I am so excited about today's trainer, Joe Vitale. I've been reading your books, Joe, for almost 10 years now, and they've had an incredible impact in my life. And so what I wanted to do, folks, in this training is have Joe come on to share with you some of the mind-blowing ideas that I've learned from studying his work for over a decade. You've been around for a long time.
Yes, I have.
And Joe, we love to start every interview with an important question so we get to know you better. That question is, what gets you out of bed every morning?
A good cup of coffee gets me out of bed every morning. But beyond that, inspiration. I'm driven by passion. I get excited about ideas. I get excited about projects. I get excited about books. I'm getting excited about music that I'm creating. And I want to jump out of bed and I want to bring life to it. I'm a guy who follows my heart. I follow my inspiration. I follow my passion. And that's a lot of juice. I'm plugged into the current of life. And so more than the cup of coffee in the morning, it's the inspired ideas that I can't wait to bring birth to, that I can't wait to bring into the world. So it's those ideas, it's that passion that makes me excited. In fact, I start to get excited even talking about it right now because it's an exciting subject. It's an exciting way to live.
And you know, that's something that I've really admired about you. You have so much creation going on in your life. It's mind-blowing. So I wrote to Joe in 2008, and I got back his autoresponder. And his autoresponder basically said, don't expect to hear from me for the next gajillion weeks because I'm working on, and then it proceeded to list something along the lines of 7 books, 5 movies, your country music album, several online courses or trainings you were doing, and a whole range of speaking tours. And that's what I find phenomenal about you. And I think I'm going to call this particular training Intention versus Inspiration, because I know few people in the world who can create so rapidly, so much great output like you. And you aren't just writing books, you're writing great books. Books such as Spiritual Marketing, World's Greatest Secret, Zero Limits. These books have had an amazing impact in my life. Yet you were once homeless. Can you tell us about that? How did you go from homeless to where you are now?
Well, I didn't do it overnight. It's a long process. Yeah, I was homeless back in the 1970s, back in Dallas. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. I slept in public libraries and bus stations and other places. But here's the thing. I kept following my dream. I kept believing in myself and thinking that any day now something's going to shift. I kept pursuing my idea that I was going to be an author. And this is what my passion was, and this is what was driving me. And so as I kept pursuing, day by day, doing whatever it took, and writing, even when there was no evidence around me that I would ever be a success, I wrote every day anyway. This is an important element of success. I was persistent when nobody around me believed in me. I was persistent when I even doubted myself. I was persistent when there was no evidence whatsoever that I would ever achieve anything. But I learned something along the way, and this is really important. I learned that the clearer you are, the faster you get results. The clearer you are, the faster you get results. You mentioned 5 books. I've written 50 books. You mentioned 7 movies. I'm now in 15 movies. You mentioned 1 country album. I have no country albums, but I have 15 albums now. 5 rock and roll singer-songwriter albums, and the rest of them are kind of meditative, new age, otherworldly, transcendent music. And yes, I'm still traveling. I just went to Kuwait. I'm going all over the world. So I am doing all of this and more because I'm following my passion and I'm clear. And this is an important element because if people want to hack consciousness and they want to hack their life and they want to get results, one of the important things they have to do is get clear. And what I mean by that is being clear of your own interference. Most people have an idea for a book. Most people have an idea for a music CD. Most people have an idea for a product, a service, a business. But most people aren't clear about it, and they talk themselves out of it. They say, not me, not now. I don't have the experience. I don't have the money. I don't have the connections. I don't have, and they're done. They don't produce anything. What I mean by getting clear is getting clear of the beliefs that would stop you from moving forward. When you get clear, you can achieve almost anything and at a rapid pace.
One of the most interesting ideas I got from your book, and I'd love to bring it up right now, is the idea of intention versus inspiration. In your book, Zero Limits, that book genuinely created a shift in how I view my life. Because in that book, you talk about intention versus inspiration. You say that many people want to use intention to create the next phase of their life, intention to create their vision for their life 3 years into the future or years into the future. But you said there's a deeper, more meaningful way, and that is to work through inspiration. In other words, you open yourself to be a channel, and by being this channel, you get guidance on what that next step would be, what that next book would be, what that next creative item would be. Could you tell us about that?
Wow, that's a great question and a big subject. First of all, I still like intentions. I think intentions help us stay on target because the way our brains work, they need some sort of guidance. We need something that tells us what we want in our lives. Otherwise, we're going to fall on a default setting. And the default setting in our brain is survival. That's it, survival. But if you want to have, do, or be more than survival, then having intentions is a great step forward. And so I like intentions, but I found something better. So much better that I now say intentions are for wimps. Intentions are for wimps. Because what's better than intention is what you just said, inspiration. So what's the difference? Intentions usually come from the ego. They usually are head-oriented. They're usually based on our past. They're based on something we did before, something we didn't achieve before, something somebody else did. So intentions come from our known reality. Inspirations come from the wider perspective of life itself. Inspirations come from your connection to what I call divinity. You mentioned the book Zero Limits, and in that book we talk about divinity. Some people can call that God, some people can call it nature, some people can call it your unconscious mind. But it is the energy field, the collective, that is bigger than just me and bigger than just you, though we are part of it. That essence has intelligence, and that essence is trying to guide us to something bigger and better than an intention. I say intentions are for wimps now because most of the time when we set an intention, they're kind of really small goals compared to what's possible. What's possible can only be known when you open your mind and allow this greater force to come in. And that greater force is going to inspire you. I find that intentions are great because they guide me where I want to go. But inspiration is rocket fuel, it's jet fuel, it's nuclear power. It comes up from within here and just propels you down the road. So I prefer inspirations, and then I will make my inspiration my intention.
I see. So you start with that inspiration. And from that guiding inspiration, you set your vision for how you want to be.
That's right.
Whereas most people set an intention and then are waiting for an inspiration. But what they do not realize is that the intention could be completely out of alignment or too small from where they could be.
That's right. A lot of people that I've talked to that have achieved big things will refer to the feeling of an inspiration like getting marching orders from God. It feels like you got a mission. Like something came in and told you, forget about whatever the small little intention you had was, that little goal, because here's something bigger. Here's something better. Here's something you didn't even imagine before. But it comes like an inspiration, and in some ways it is so big, it just envelopes you with this energy and this power and this excitement. So I much prefer inspiration. That's how I get so much done. I follow an inspired life. Inspired living is what got me to be with you.
Well, that explains 50 books and 15 movies.
And more coming.
And you don't stop. Now, and they work. So let's go deeper. How could we begin to live in that state? What systems do you apply?
That's a great question. Well, there's a couple things. Now, you mentioned the book Zero Limits, and Zero Limits is all about this amazing story, which you know, but many other people may not. I'll tell it very briefly. It's the true story of a therapist who worked at a mental institution for criminally insane patients in Hawaii. And because that institution was so sad, so despicable, and so dangerous, the patients were either shackled or sedated on a daily basis. And the doctors would quit, nurses would quit, and the state needed to have staff there, and they needed to have licensed staff. So they finally hired an unusual therapist, and I say unusual because he said, I'll go there and I'll work at the hospital, but I'm not going to do traditional medicine. I'm not going to do traditional therapy. I'm going to do my own method. And he started doing his own method, and within a few months, patients started to get better. They didn't have to be shackled. They didn't have to be sedated. They actually got happier. A few months after that, the patients started to be released. Within 4 years, virtually every patient was released. Remember, they were mentally ill criminals who were sentenced to be at that hospital. And so you wonder, what did this therapist do? He did one thing. He worked on himself. He worked on himself with a Hawaiian healing method called Ho'oponopono. Now, Ho'oponopono, it's a long word, but all we're really talking about is correcting our erroneous beliefs within ourselves. And we do it with 4 phrases. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That's one of my processes. I use Ho'oponopono every day on myself. In fact, I've been doing it for 10 years, so it's pretty much automated. It's going on in my head right now. Most people have a background tape that's talking to them in the back of their mind right now as they're listening to you and me. Mine's saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Why is it doing that? Because I am cleansing the beliefs in my mind that keep me or could have kept me from being in this moment, from being present with you. So I have no notes in front of me. I don't know what your questions are. We chatted for a little bit, but I'm following inspiration. I'm doing my best to be in this moment. And the more I can be in this moment, which is all we really have, past is gone, future isn't here, we just have this moment, the more inspiration can come to us. So I'm making myself available for inspiration by cleansing the programs, the beliefs, the data in my mind, my conscious, my unconscious, my subconscious. So Ho'oponopono is one of the things I use. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, that I wrote Zero Limits to explain.
Wow. So when you're saying that phrase in your head, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, are you talking to yourself? Who are you loving? Who are you sorry to?
Oh, wonderful. Well, geez, this opens so many layers. First of all, I'm talking to my connection to all that is. I'm talking to my connection, my internal connection to the life force. Again, I call that divinity. Somebody else might call that God. Somebody else might call that Gaia. They'll have different names for it. But we're all part of something bigger. There's something that keeps us alive here on the planet. It's keeping the gravity regulated and oxygen regulated and everything growing and keeping us moving through life. I am speaking and addressing that force, the force that gave me life, the force that animates my life. And what I'm basically saying is, I'm sorry for any beliefs that I have, I gained, I inherited from ancestors or brought on myself that are in my mind. Please forgive me for being unaware of my own programming. Thank you for dissolving the limitations, erasing them from my mind. And I love you is moving to that state of pure gratitude and pure unconditional love to say, I am one with this divinity. I love divinity. Divinity loves me. So it is a one-on-one relationship.
Wow.
Now, yeah, this is deep and powerful, but we got to wonder, how does saying that heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals? So if the doctor is sitting in his office and he's thinking to himself, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, how is he healing those patients? By saying that to himself. He didn't say it to the patients. He looked at their charts. So he's looking at their charts and he's feeling whatever he's feeling. He's upset, he's angry, he's frustrated, he's whatever the emotion is. And with those feelings, he's addressing his petition to divinity and saying, I'm sorry for whatever we did in the world, whatever I did, whatever I believe that created this person. Please forgive me for the programming that got intertwined with that patient and myself. Thank you for taking care of this. I love you. All taking it back to himself. He's taking full responsibility. As he cleans himself, the patient gets better.
So you're starting with the phrase, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. So to recap, you're saying, I love you to that part of you which is connected to divinity. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for any judgments or beliefs from the past that may be souring my essence.
That's right.
Please forgive me, meaning please heal me of this.
Yes, I'm sorry. Please heal me of this. Yes.
And thank you.
Thank you.
As in, it's done.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
But you're doing this.
It's an entirely internal experience. As you say it internally about whatever you perceive on the outside that's bothering you, your cleansing of the inside makes that on the outside disappear.
Wow. Now, I take it that there's another belief that this remarkable man has. What is his name, by the way?
Dr. Hewlin.
Dr. Hewlin.
Dr. Hewlin.
It seems that he also believes that everything that he's witnessing in the exterior world, he has control over.
Doesn't have control over, but it is a mirror of what's in him. So in other words, he's a walking projector. So are you, and so am I. So as we walk around through the world, we see things out there, and some of them we don't like. But in Dr. Hewlin's world, he sees that what he's noticing out there is a projection of what's in him. So instead of trying to change what's out there, he changes him. He sees total responsibility. He sees that he is 100% responsible for everything he does and sees and feels. And instead of trying to change the outer world, he changes his inner world. I know in one of my very first conversations with him, he asked me, he said, have you ever heard the phrase, you create your own reality? And I said, well, of course, I write about it. I talk about it. And he says, well, if you create your own reality and a mentally ill patient in a hospital is in front of you, did you not create them too? Or by extension, if somebody is complaining about work and they have an employee or they have a boss or they have somebody that's upsetting them, if you create your own reality, it includes that person. You created them. This is where full responsibility becomes this growth hack where you realize that there isn't a separation. What it is that everything out there is your responsibility. And I'm quick to point out, it's not your fault. It is not to blame anybody. It is not to feel guilty. It is to take back your power and to realize you're running the projector. What you see out there is the film you're projecting from in here. And Ho'oponopono is designed to clean up the projection so that you can see peace and abundance and love and productivity and all the things that you've been longing for.
Wow, that's a very powerful model of reality, to take on the model of reality that everything around you, including another person's dysfunction, is directly being projected by you.
Yes.
It reminds me of the training I did just before you, which was with the Reverend Michael Beckwith from the Agape, from the Agape Spiritual Center. So, and for those of you listening, if you haven't watched Michael Beckwith's interview, what Michael says is that as we evolve as human beings, we go from being victims, saying that there are outside forces governing our life, to being conscious creators, which is where we practice tools such as creative visualization to create the world. But he says there are levels beyond that, and he says there's a third level. That third level is where inspiration is guiding you on what to set as your next vision for your life. And I believe that's what you're talking about. You're talking about inspiration being greater than intention. And so it's beautiful how this parallels what Michael Beckwith says. But Michael Beckwith left us hanging. He said there's a fourth level. And he said that fourth level is, I am God. It's where
That's
you
right.
are literally creating everything that you are encountering in the world. Could Dr. Hewlin, the doctor you're mentioning, be at that fourth level? What do you think of level 3 and what do you think of the jump between level 3 and level 4?
I love this. And I totally agree with Reverend Beckwith, because the first is victimhood. And virtually all of us are born into it. And we're taught to survive. We're taught to make a living. We're taught to just scramble by. And we're taught that we're one against the world. Then there's empowerment. That's the second level. Thanks to things like what you're doing and what Reverend is doing and movies like The Secret and so forth, people are becoming more aware of their own power. In empowerment, you learn about intentions. You learn about your own personal choice. You learn that with action, with goals, with direction, with movement, you can actually change your life. It's a powerful place to be, but it's only the second level. The third level is what I call surrender. And this is where Ho'oponopono becomes very useful, because in surrender, you're surrendering your intentions to inspirations. And Ho'oponopono, as I've been describing, helps clean the mind of the data limiting your view of what's possible. When you open your view of what's possible, inspiration can come in. But there is that fourth level. That is what I call awakening. Awakening is when you and the divine are one. You and God are one. And that happens by grace. You can't make that happen. Trying to make that happen is a level 2 ego trip. That's you trying to become God, you trying to play God. Number 4, the awakening comes from grace. It comes from divinity itself, but you can prepare for it. You prepare for it by making yourself open to receive it. You do that with meditation, with time for gratitude, for silent time. So in other words, you're opening yourself to receive inspiration. And as you are opening yourself, you can merge with divinity. You can become one with all that is. You can have the awakening where you are, in essence, divinity. And divinity lives and moves and breathes and thinks through you at that point. And I can take people through a tiny little exercise to get them right up to that door. And if you give me permission, I'll do it.
I would love that.
Okay.
And I think everyone listening right now is at the edge of their seats right now.
Beautiful. So all this is an awareness exercise. As we are talking right now, people are thinking. They're thinking about they like what we're saying, or they're confused by what we're saying. They like Joe, they like you, they don't like us. There's all kind of thoughts going on in their head right now. What I want them to be aware of is that they're witnessing those thoughts. They are not those thoughts. They are having thoughts, but they are not thoughts. This is an important first step. So somehow they are the observer. Somehow they're behind the thoughts, and these thoughts are just kind of trucking on by, and you get to watch them. At the same time, there's emotions, there's feelings. Maybe they're still excited. They're on the edge of their seat, as you said. Maybe they're still hurting from something from today. Maybe their neck hurts or something. There's emotions going on at this very point. It could be happy, it could be sad, it could be any number of things. But they're noticing them. If they say, I am sad, there's the I and there's the sad. There's the I that's witnessing the sad. When they just take 1 minute and realize, I'm not my thoughts, I'm observing them. I'm not my emotions, I'm observing them. Now look at our body. They're in this body, which they may love, they may want to change, they want to morph into something else. Maybe it's a little uncomfortable, maybe it's totally fine. But they have a body. They are not a body. So, if you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're not your feelings, you're not your body, what are you? You're this background witness, this observer. That essence is what I call the zero state, and what Dr. Hewlin in Zero Limits and the follow-up book At Zero called the point of zero. That is the essence of you. That is the essence of me. That is the essence of the next door neighbor, all the people listening. When we go behind the thoughts, behind the feelings, behind the body, there is a witness. The more we can attune to the witness, the closer we'll be to an awakening.
Wow, beautiful. It's deep, but are there any specific methods or systems we can do to help us be more conscious observers of our thoughts?
Well, the number one thing to do is meditate. And I meditate every day. It's one of my daily habits. I have a meditation time and I have a gratitude time. Now, the gratitude time is when I'm in the hot tub outside under the Texas sky, and I'm truly grateful because for a guy who wants to be homeless to be able to sit on his own place, have his own hot tub, and just float in there as the tensions of the day go, I am truly grateful. So whenever you move into a state of gratitude, you start to move closer to being in the moment, which is the real miracle right here. And you start to move closer to the connection to divinity, the connection to your source. So gratitude is one of the biggest things that anybody can do. And the great news is it's free. You do it right now. You can just start saying, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my glasses. I'm grateful for the computer. I'm grateful for whatever it happens to be. The other thing is to meditate, and there's all different kinds of ways to meditate. But I would refer people back to what we just did. If they can breathe in slowly, exhale slowly, and really get quiet, and then start wondering, okay, if I'm not my thoughts, and they'll notice they'll have thoughts. That's the human mind. It's got to keep generating thoughts. But we don't have to listen to them. We don't have to buy into them. We can watch them go by. So the more our meditation is about finding our connection to the witness behind the thoughts, behind the emotions, behind the body, the closer we knock on the door of an awakening. And that's a simple exercise. It's a matter of getting quiet, making the time, turn the phone off, close the door, don't have guests over, TV and everything else is off. And as you're sitting there and you close your eyes and you have thoughts go by, you just notice thoughts. If you have feelings coming up, you just notice feelings. If your body needs to move, you notice your body needs to move. But what you're looking for is what's behind all of it. That zero state, that witness, that observer. You want to see if you can become it by observing it and see if you merge.
I see. I love how you make it so simple. When we were planning this training, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about 4 models of reality. Okay, and you've already spoken about a number, but the 4 that you mentioned, you wanted to state as your beliefs are: my beliefs create reality, there's always a way, nothing is impossible, I am responsible for it all.
Yes.
And I'd love for you to expand upon those 4.
All right. Well, the first one about beliefs creating reality goes to the idea that we live in a belief-driven universe. Everything you experience is coming to you directly as a result of the beliefs in your mind. The mistake people think is that they say, I believe I'm attracting love, but I'm not attracting love. I believe I'm attracting money, but I don't see money coming into my life. I believe I'm attracting a better job, but I don't see the better job. And the mistake they make is in thinking that the conscious belief is doing the work. It's not the conscious belief. It's the unconscious belief. You can sit there and say, I'm attracting money, I'm attracting a relationship, I'm attracting fill in the blank. But if unconsciously you don't believe that, you're attracting what you unconsciously believe. In my work, I call them counter intentions, because we state intentions. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to date more. I'm going to write my book. Those are all conscious intentions. And those are great. They're all noble. Nobody goes around saying, I'm going to start cocaine next week. They don't have that kind of a intention. They have a positive intention. But until they look into the unconscious, where we have to do the clearing and the belief work, they will create their reality based on their unconscious beliefs. This is an important distinction. This is like the $1 million turnaround point. If people want to hack into their life and redirect it in a new way, they have to work with the beliefs in their unconscious mind. So we live in a belief-driven universe, but the beliefs are in the unconscious. How do you get to the unconscious? This ties into Ho'oponopono. There's a lot of clearing techniques out there. But when you say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you, you don't need to know what the beliefs are. All you need to know